Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. It's going to be another rather quick one today, basically because I wanted to once again have a talk about my hopes for the future of the new Killteam game. And as I've said time and time again, I would absolutely love this new game to be the vehicle for GW to not only update existing factions that have models or units which are getting a bit long in the tooth, but also for them to experiment a bit more and, like we saw with Gaunt's Ghosts, create some bespoke units which are perhaps not quite in fitting with the regular style and design of the main faction that they belong to. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to run through 5 factions or sub-factions which I thought we should absolutely see get, if nothing else, just half a dozen new units in their own unique kill team, but equally which people could add into their existing 40k faction like you can with the Ghosts for the Astra Militarum. And first up is an obvious one for me as a Dark Angel player, something to cleanse the palette from the frankly god-awful White Dwarf update they got, and that is some brand new unique Fallen models. Yes, I know they wouldn't be super different from some kind of mix between the current Loyalist and Chaos Marines, but they could very easily take the look of the current Cypher model and then just create 5 new models that follow that sort of black Baroque styled knightly themed armor with maybe some robes or ragged cloaks to show them and their ongoing hit and run style struggle for the last 10,000 years. And then maybe even give them some of the more esoteric high-tech weapons that the Dark Angels were known for back in 30k, perhaps taking a look at some of the current Forge World kits for things like the Interemptor's plasma burners or even Tyrannic greatswords and that kind of thing. And then in addition to being able to use them as their own kill team, you could of course add them to your Chaos list using the new Fallen rules. It would just be a fantastic little unit to see in kill team games, I think, as well as giving the 3 Fallen players out there something of a more unique style of infantry instead of just having to repaint the current Dark Angel veterans, which is what you pretty much have to do at the moment. Next up, for the Xenos lovers out there, I would love to see some brand new Tau auxiliary forces as a kill team, and this wouldn't necessarily just be a unit of new Kroot models, although that would be very cool in itself, but this would perhaps be a mixed kill team which would have, I don't know, a Kroot scout and then a couple of Kroot carnivores to add the bodies to the unit. But then maybe there would be some brand new Vespid models to help round out the roster. And when you consider that the current Stingwing models for the Tau are incredibly monopose, then even just adding 2 or 3 new dynamic sculpts for them would be an almost 50% increase in the number of ways that you could pose the squad, and it would just add so much more life and variety for people that wanted to bring them in 40k as well. It might even be a way for GW to really push the envelope out and introduce us to even more of the Tau auxiliaries, which we have read about in the fluff, but we've never actually seen models for. Something to really blow us away and maybe even act as a precursor to build a load of player hype up for maybe a brand new unit type to come in the eventual Tau Codex. To me, it just seems like the Tau auxiliaries in general are very much a sub-faction of the Tau that are left behind in the dirt, and I do think that both the Kroot and the Vespid and maybe some extra auxiliary units could really do with some love and some models, even if it was just an extra 2 or 3 to add some more silhouettes to the squads. The next kill team faction I would absolutely love to see get done would be some of the corrupted heretical forces of the Dark Mechanicum. And if we look at what little we did get from Forge World in the form of characters like Anacharis Scoria, I do think that a twisted semi-demonic set of something like Thralax or even the 40k Breachers or Taraxi units would go down so well amongst kill team players, and then being able to perhaps add them into a Chaos force in 40k would go a long way to excite the Chaos players in the game, as well as I think give people that just love the Ad Mech something they could tinker with as well. And I personally know loads of Ad Mech players that would love to have a Dark Mechanicum themed or Dark Mechanicum styled army, even though they don't have any specific rules for the Dark Mechanicum in 40k at the moment. Just the chance to do that paint job and do some conversion work to have their AdMech force looking a little bit more corrupted and chaotic would really excite them and give us all a lot more to look at on the tabletop. The final two sub-factions that I think Killteam should introduce, and then fingers crossed 40k could take the baton and run with, are two factions that players have been absolutely desperate to see for years and years and years, and I'm pretty sure that you can guess at least one of them. But the first I want to talk about is for you Eldari players, and that is the Exodites. So Exodites are the Eldar that fled the craft worlds before the fall, as far as I'm aware, as long as I'm getting my lore correct, and they live on things called maiden worlds. And these worlds tend to have creatures which are pretty much dinosaurs, and so the Exodite Eldar use these as mounts and other creatures of war and that sort of thing. Kind of imagine something like Dino Riders, if you're familiar with that, and you will be about in the right ballpark. But I would genuinely love to see some official GW designs and units of Eldar riding around on raptors or on some kind of flying pterodactyl mount, and I feel like a lot of inspiration could be taken from the current Seraphon army, although it also has to be said the Seraphon range hasn't had an update in a very long time, and if GW were planning on redesigning the Lizardmen, then who's to say that while they are redesigning that reptilian aesthetic, they wouldn't put together a few molds for 5 or 6 or 7 unique Killteam models for an Exodite subfaction. I do think that when Seraphon get their eventual Age of Sigmar update, if Exodites are going to get any kind of presence in 40k or Killteam, that will be about the time that GW consider working on their sculpts and their designs as well. And I do think it would be incredible to see what the brilliant model designers of GW could come up with as they mixed the technological genius of the Eldar with the very primitive, primordial aesthetic of dinosaurs. And even if it never got a full army release, just a squad or two of these would be, in my opinion, such a huge seller, both for use in Killteam, but also if players were able to add them into their current Eldar forces as some kind of auxiliary unit. The final new faction that I think Killteam deserves, and which could very easily be ported over for use in 40k, is, as I'm sure you have all guessed, and which I do honestly think may actually be happening, is the Squats. And like these other ideas, even if it was purely a Killteam only set of models, I do think that Squats would sell like absolute hotcakes. People have loved the additions of the individual models in things like Necromunda, and a full squad to paint up and play with would be such a refreshing, unique thing to see on the battlefields of Killteam. But equally, it would be so easy to design 5 or 6 infantry models, and then maybe a biker or a triker, maybe more accurate model or two, which could be brought in the same way as Gaunt's Ghosts can be to an Imperium army, like the Astra Militarum, or maybe even the Space Marines. It would be such a great way for GW to not only really push the sales of Killteam, because people would, I'm sure, honestly love to get their hands on those small squads to play around with and paint up, much like we see with the incredibly popular Warhammer Underworlds game, but also not just update older models for current 40k factions, but give them a chance to introduce and almost test out the popularity of new, smaller sub-factions that may have never seen the light of day otherwise. And I think being able to see just how popular something like the Exodites are and how well they sell could mean that later down the line, GW would be more willing to push for a fuller army-sized release for them, or conversely, if they don't sell well and people don't seem to embrace them, maybe just leave them at that Killteam level of investment of perhaps 1 squad or 2 squads of individual models. But those are just my top 5 picks for new forces that I would love to see get introduced in the new Killteam game, and it does seem as though GW is going down this route, as we've seen them announce that brand new Killteams with brand new models are going to be coming out pretty much every month for the foreseeable future. I am honestly really excited to see what current factions get new updated models and which new sub-factions may get introduced, but what units, factions or armies would you like to see get their own set of Killteam models? As always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I will catch you later guys.